Hey hobbyists, Ryan from Loons Painting here, back with this new series of tutorials. We're going to be going over my renowned Mars themed bases. I've had a lot of people ask me just how I've gone about these since I started my Adeptus Mechanicus army, and today I'm going to show you just how easy it is to go from this to this. Here's our full parts and paints list. So let's get started. I'll be showing the process on these bases that I've already put together and primed for my Knight Armigers, but I'll show you what I do when making a new base from scratch. First thing you're going to need is your blank base, some sand, and some cork. Go ahead and start gluing on the cork and sand. If you're going to have your model stand on the cork rocks, make sure you take into consideration where your model's feet are going to go on the base. As for sand, make sure you pile up some of it on the sides of the rocks as if it's starting to build up from the dust storms. I like to use a bit of sand on my Mars bases as it helps the bases look more appealing with different textures, as well as helps stretch out or crackle paint a bit. Once that's dried, go ahead and give them a quick primer coat, and then it's on to painting. First thing we're going to do is base coat everything with Mephiston or Corn Red. I prefer to use Mephiston, it's just a little bit brighter, it's my personal choice, but if you've got Corn Red, go ahead and use that. Make sure you're watering down your paint a little bit just to help it get into the nooks and crannies of all the sand and the cork. Afterwards you want to go ahead and paint the other parts of your base. Here I've done the metal grating and the piping, gone in and painted silver where I needed to. Here you can see me just doing some chipping and weathering on the pipes. Next we're going to base coat the rocks with Incubi Darkness. After that's fully dried, go ahead and give the rocks a dry brush of a light gray. Here I'm using Administratum Gray. Next we're going to break out the Martian Iron Earth. And keep in mind that is the Martian Iron Earth, not the Iron Crust. The Iron Crust ends up cracking up in a different way, and it doesn't quite turn out the way that we're looking for on these bases. If you've got a different brand of crackle paste, go ahead and use that here. To make sure we get nice, big, thick cracks and a variety of sizes in our cracked pieces, you want to make sure you put on a nice thick layer, but don't put anything larger than a millimeter thick. Anything more than it starts to flake off when you start to dry brush it. Now that did happen to me in this tutorial, but it wasn't very serious. I just took the piece that fell off and glued it back in place. If it happens to you, just do the same thing. Now you're going to want to put this aside and let it fully dry and cure before we proceed, because our next step is to dry brush all of the crackle paste, the sand, and the rocks with Jericho Orange. Now don't worry about being too clean with this, it is a dry brush. It is supposed to represent dust and tie the sand and the crackle paint together. If you get this on your other element, it just helps with the effect. And after our dry brush, we want to break out the Seraphim Sepia and give everything a nice heavy shade. Make sure you move the shade around and make sure it doesn't pool up anywhere. Try to also hit the areas where the other elements contact the sand just to help blend it all together a little bit better. Once your shade is dried, you can go ahead and call this base done. However, I'm going to show you how to take this base to the next level, the secret sauce as it were. What you're going to want to get your hands on is this Vallejo pigment called the Dark Red Ochre. Here you can see me lightly dusting it onto the sand, the crackle paint, and on the other elements, help to blend it all together a little bit more. This acts as like a finer dust that permeates every part of the base and finds its way into every nook and cranny. When applying this stuff, you want to have a tiny amount of rubbing alcohol or pigment binder on your brush when you dip it into your weathering pigment. This just helps give the weathering pigment something to bind to the model. What you're actually going to want to do after you're done weathering everything is varnish your model. And there you have it. Once you're done, go ahead and paint the rim of your base black and attach the model. Use some of this weathering pigment to apply to the feet of your model just to help tie everything together. And there you go, you've got your authentic Mars basing. Thanks for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please give a like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to see more of our content, head on over to Facebook or Instagram, or come join us live during our YouTube and Twitch streams. If you'd like to support the channel in a more direct way, head on over to our Patreon and become a patron today. That's everything for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy painting.